Hello
Okay.
and welcome to Mobile Accessible Games interview series. I'm your host, Aaron Spelker. Mobile Accessible Games is a group all about accessibility and mobile gaming. And through our interview series, we interview game developers, accessibility influencers, as well as accessibility advocates. And this week, we are going to be talking to Peter Sallai, who is the developer of a game called Voice of the Ancients. And he is going to tell us about that game and give us some background on how it was developed. So welcome to the interview series.
Thank you, Aaron. And thank you for inviting me to your great channel. I watched several interviews in the last weeks, and I like them very well.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, it's a great way to bring your story to the community. And we have a wide following of people who are blind and visually impaired who follow my group, which your game is kind of perfectly suited for them to interact with. So we're going to start off. First, let's just have you tell the community about yourself. Who are you? Some few sentence background about yourself.
Okay, so I'm 43 years old. I live in Budapest, Hungary, with my wife and four four little kids. And I have been programming computers for more than 30 years. During these years, I have worked in many industries. I've worked in the telecommunication sector, developed software for the government services, worked in the airline industry, and currently I'm in the financial sector. I am the CTO of a medium-sized Hungarian software company. We are creating investment software typically for banks.
Oh, nice. So the work that you do for Voice of the Ancients, well, first, is Voice of the Ancients your first game, or have you done other ones before this?
It is my first real game. I tried to create games earlier, but this is the first game I finished.
Gotcha. Um, why don't we also start right here at the top so we set the stage for people. Why don't you tell them what is Voice of the Ancients so they know what type of game that is?
So, Voice of the Ancients is an adventure game. In the story, you're a legionnaire in the French Foreign Legion, and one of your dying teammates gives you a diary, and in this diary, there are information about a temple, a lost temple with treasures. And when you start to find this temple, an evil society called Society of the Ancients also search for this temple. And in addition, you have to solve the mystery of the diary. You must escape from this society too. So it's an adventure about searching for treasures and also running away from this evil society.
Yeah, like from a story standpoint, when I was playing it, I was thinking it's kind of like a mix of the movie Indiana Jones and National Treasure. Like it kind of combines those two, solve the puzzles, have the adventure, someone's chasing you, look for the riches. Um, the other thing that's particularly unique about your game is it's completely voice command driven, which is again for those who are blind and visually impaired to literally um, go through the entire game and just have to use your voice. You don't have to press any button other than play game at the very beginning. And on screen, at least from a blind person standpoint, I mean, there's just basically game in progress, pause, or quit. I mean, those are the only three things that you can engage with the actual touching of the screen. Otherwise, Voice of the Ancients presents a scene or a decision to be made, and then you just answer with your voice. Go east, go left, take the jewel, whatever the case may be, to move through the game. So it by design is a fully accessible game for those who are blind and visually impaired. And I don't know if that was a demographic you were looking, or you were just looking to do kind of a voice command game. Like why do it in that structure as opposed to just like a regular text adventure?
Yes, it's a, a very strange story. Um, uh, I live in a small city about 20 kilometers from Budapest. I work in Budapest, and for many years I traveled to Budapest by train every day. I really like traveling by train because I can read books or browse the internet and so on. But 6 years ago, my oldest daughter went to a school in Budapest. And from that time, I had to go to the work by car. And with car, I have to be in a traffic jam every day for an hour. And I think, what can I do with my time? And I figured out if I make an audio game, total audio game with voice, it can be a perfect time for testing this game. And this is the reason why I started to develop Voice of the Ancients. And this worked because I tested the game a lot of mornings in the traffic jams, and it could be a usable time for me to be in the car and wait.
And so the story of the game, is that completely your story? Did you get someone to assist you in writing it, or?
No, I work as a one-man army, so I am both the developer, the story writer, and so on. As you said earlier, I inspired by a lot of movies and books. I think we watched the same movies earlier because yes, Indiana Jones was very important for me, and old LucasArts point-and-click adventures also inspired me to create a game like Voice of the Ancients.
Yeah. Kind of reminded me, I don't know if you ever played the game Myst. Did you play that like point-and-click adventure game Myst?
Probably
like early 90s, mid 90s kind of game that came out.
Yes, I played a lot of them, like Monkey Island and Indiana Jones in this era, and later what is the name of the game? It's a French game. It is about Templars, but I don't remember the title of this game. But I played great point-and-click games at that time. No, I haven't got any free time to play new games, but I think
sounds like you got a full-time chief technology officer job plus doing this. I mean, and 4 kids, you said? Yeah, you probably have no time at all.
Yes. Honestly, I haven't got any free time. So I programmed and created Voice of the Ancients during waiting for my younger child to fall asleep. So every night I have half an hour or 45 minutes to develop because I'm waiting with my child. So
another kind of unique thing about this game to kind of help with the overall immersion, I believe, is you have people right at the beginning download a whole different 5 or 6 different voices that are available for download. So that as the game's playing, it's actually kind of like engaging different voices to make it seem more like a theater than just Siri in one voice reading it back to you or talking to you. It gives it like different voices to different characters. So I thought that was kind of a unique thing that I haven't seen before. And so talk about that aspect of making that decision.
Yes, using different voices was a very important part of the game to make it real like as it real storytelling. I'm not fully satisfied with the text-to-speech usage. First, as you mentioned, you had to download voices by manually outside the game. It's a technical limitation from Apple. And I'm more like real human voice, but hiring a good voice acting team is far beyond my current budget. So it's only my long-term dream to make it with real voices, but we will see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was ingenious of, like, again, I was like, if you had a set of 6 different voice actors, that's some real money, but here you can kind of use the technology and the voice. And I imagine as time goes by, those voices are going to get better and more realistic sounding. So for, future games that come out, I think this is kind of a unique way to approach a game and give it a more immersion feel, like you're actually talking to a very specific character, as opposed to, whether it's a man or it's a woman, you've got whatever the voice is that's on your phone talking back to you, and it kind of just doesn't feel as immersive. It just feels like you're reading a book in one voice, as opposed to having different characters with distinct voices, which I thought was great. Now, as you kind of progress through this game, lots of puzzles. How do you get from the upper level to the lower level, and you got to find different pieces of equipment that'll help you, or find a secret door with a passageway, or whatever the case may be. And you kind of go through it. As I kind of played through, and I have not finished the game yet. I have a question about the ending. But along the way, it seems like ultimately, although you can kind of go in a different order, but you kind of have to, everybody has to kind of do the same thing to, progress, let's say, from, chapter 1 into chapter 2, at least is what I could tell. I mean, I played through it and I made it through, but I didn't see like, oh, I could have done something different and gotten to the ending in a different way. Am I kind of right in that? Is there kind of like, ultimately, I mean, you can go like, someone can go A, B, C, or I could go C, B, A, but everybody has to touch A, B, and C in order to kind of move on.
Yes, it's true for about 90% of the game, but there are some optional parts, but you can skip, and also there are some alternative ways. So, for example, in episode 1, when you fall into a cave, you can go to east and go or go to west.
Right.
If you go to west, you can take a lamp, and when you go to east, you will find a trapdoor, and you can skip over it. But if you don't take the lamp, you fall down, and you start your game in this labyrinth in a different place.
Right.
The scene is similar, but you must do some steps different, because you don't have a lamp. You
have a torch.
Other doors, and at the end of the game, there are three endings.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you, if there was multiple ending situation at the end. So ultimately three endings.
Yes, 3 endings. For 2 endings, you decide in the last part of the game. But the third, it's a secret ending, is different. So far, no one found the secret ending, but we will see. I hope someday.
So you get some metrics about that, about who's done which ending?
Yes, I have an analytics about the progress in the game of the players. So, for example, I can see how many players finished in each episodes, and at the ending, how many players choose option A or option B.
When you're creating this game, what are you using, like Unity to do it, or what program do you use to create voice of the ancients?
No, I haven't used any game engine, so I only used Apple tools like Xcode, and I developed a game in Swift language,
Right.
and for the embedded game engine, and also I also used JavaScript as a scripting language, but I haven't used any third-party game engines or third-party libraries. I only depend on the Apple tools tool chain. I want to keep the code base simple as possible.
Sure. When, from your kind of, thought of the idea of this game to actually getting it out on the App Store, like how long did it take you to do the development?
About 6 years. So
6 years, okay.
Yeah. This is because I only developed this game in my free time, so my progress was very slow. In the first year, I created a small prototype of the engine, because I want to test if this completely voice control game can work or not. So I started with a prototype, and next I created a content editor, content management software to based on Google Sheets to help me to create the content structure. And in the next years, about 60% of the total time, I create the content for it, episode by episode.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I really love, there's other voice command type of games that have been out there, and I've found two issues with them. One, either it was like, well, you had to kind of like press a button to activate the microphone and then do it, which kind of takes away the ability, as you're saying, as you're kind of driving the car, to do this game completely hands-free. So your game you can do completely hands-free. Once you get it started, it's all voice command. You don't have to touch anything on the screen unless you want to pause the game or quit out for a while, back to the main menu. So I really like that there is no having to touch the screen in any way to activate the microphone. And then the other thing, and I don't know if this is anything special on your end or just technology has gotten better, but it was very clean on, I would, say what my answer was or what direction I wanted to go or what I wanted to take or open or whatever. And it just recognized it right away. It wasn't like I had to keep trying to say what I wanted to do, and it wasn't, understanding what I was saying and, making me do it over and over again. Very, very few times did I have to repeat, the command that I was suggesting be made. So I thought that was very clean. And again, I don't know, is that anything special you did, or is that just over the years, voice recognition has gotten cleaner and better?
First, Apple has a very good voice recognition library, so it is very important. But also, I optimized the whole engine for this voice usage. So when the voice recognition software processing your voice and producing input continuously using the streaming mode, the engine tries to find the right keywords and synonyms and so on constantly. So it's not waiting for you to finish your speech or and so on. It works continuously, and if it recognizes a command, it processes it instantly.
Yeah.
This kind of instant processing is very important for this gaming model, because if you processing the sound only after the player finishes a sentence or so on, it will break the gaming experience.
Yeah, I did notice that. It came back really quick, where I might have said something, longer, like, whatever, let's say, grab the rope on the ground, I'm saying, but, I basically got to grab and it was already like, you grab the rope. Like it kind of seemed like it was just looking for some keyword. And I don't know, also, like if I said, grab the rope on the ground, versus somebody else who might say, take the rope. Do you have like set it up where, take and grab or the same thing? Like, do you have where people have to say, like, do they have to say the exact word that you're looking for? Or do you have like, these three words can, satisfy that I know you want, to pick up the rope, because you can pick up the rope and say take, say grab, say pick up, there's a lot of different ways that you can say it. So how do you kind of account for different people voicing different ways to try to grab something?
For example, for taking something, you can use about 30 words. So I work with a lot of synonyms, and also I used similar similar voicing words. So the voice recognition engine not always right, and it recognizes similar words instead of what you say. And in the engine, I also pick a lot of similar sounding words to make the gameplay more seamless.
So, like, are you saying you might put in take, but you'll put in, if you hear, apple, if you hear bake, which is probably not what the person said, but they just heard you wrong, that also means take. That kind of
yes. For example, if you want to go to south, you can use the go to salt, because by tested the game, a lot of players
like mumble their words
instead of south.
Gotcha. So is there any particular reason this is the story you just, of all the stories, infinite amount of stories that could be told, is there something that particularly drew you to, this particular story, something that inspired you?
When I was a child, I purchased a book in a book fair at the school called creating software for the creating adventure software for the TRS-80 computers from Frank da Costa. It was a very inspiring book for me, and I read that book about 30 years ago. But since I read it, I have wanted to create an adventure game. And sometimes I planned if I create an adventure game, what will be the story? And parts of the story formed during these decades. But to create a more consistent story for this game, and I have created it in the last 6 years.
With like, working on this game, like, do you have like a local good Budapest, indie gaming community, or is it, do you get inspired or talk to people just online? Like, do you have other people around that you use as sounding boards, and talk, share ideas about, creating an indie type of game, or doing different coding solutions to things?
I work in a software development company, and we also develop mobile software. So the basics of the mobile development came from my work. And when I started to create Voiceover Ancients, I read an article with a blind guy who is also a software developer. Okay. And this was the moment. He's a Hungarian guy called Zsolt, and this was a moment when I realized Voice of the Ancients could be a perfect game for blind people. And I contacted Zsolt, and he recommended to write a forum post about the game to the Applebee's. And in this forum, I posted about 2 years ago, very alpha version with only parts of the first episode, and they started to play with it. And it was very important for me, but because I had a lot of feedbacks, both positive feedback and critics, but good critics. I used their opinions to make the game better. And from Applebee's, I received a very large beta testing community. So when I developed the other parts of the game, time by time, and I posted a new version to the Applebee's forums. So in Budapest, I have no connection with blind communities or mobile game developers community, but this place was taken by the Applebee's forum during the game development.
So, I talk to a lot of game developers, and a lot of them have, kind of like self-taught themselves how to code or things like that. So, their greatest struggle in putting out a game is actually just, learning actually how do I actually code this? How do I actually make this? Imagine kind of from your background, maybe the coding wasn't the most difficult thing. Like what was the most difficult thing about ultimately getting a game out on, the App Store for purchase? Was it actually coding it? Was it, figuring out, the solution to some problem? Was it just like learning how to market a game in this kind of environment? Like, what do you think was the most difficult thing as someone who created a game to actually, put out a full-fledged game?
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed coding the engine. So it was a very good task for me to plan the engine, plan the architecture, and create it. I also like to create the content. I think like to write a book, because you have to write a lot of text, you have to figure out storylines and skins and characters. Yes. What is the most problematic? To do it day by day. So after 5 years, let's do it another more day. So
right. Yeah. So just keeping the motivation going to just keep plugging away at it.
Yes. It was the most problematic for me. I think it is because I do this game as a one-man team.
Right.
Much harder than having got a team.
Now, as a one-person team, and with all the demands that you have on you, is Voice of the Ancients like, this is the game I had in my mind. I've gotten it out. I'm done. I've check this off of things I've wanted to accomplish, or are you on to another game idea that you have and going to kind of keep going and keep putting out games?
Honestly, I don't know it yet. I have many things in my mind. For example, I have the concept for an additional chapter for Voice of the Ancients. And also from technological perspective, I'm very interested about generative AI and how to use generative AI in a game like Voice of the Ancients. I also made some tests with ChatGPT, how to use it game. But currently, I want to make the current Voice of the Ancients as good as possible, and I want to bring it to the broadest audience I can. So maybe I can. I will think to write a new game half year later or something. But now I'm concentrated on the maintenance and the marketing task of VOTA.
Regarding maintenance, is that, a heavy lift? Or like, I hear sometimes it's, and I don't know for this type of game, if it's a big deal or not a big deal, but when Apple does updates, and I know other people have to like go in and redo code and stuff like that. Do you expect that that's something you'll have to do with Voice of the Ancients, or do you think it'll not be that big of a deal to keep it maintained and keep it on the App Store?
About 10 years ago, the changes of the iOS platform were a big issue. You have to do a lot of work year by year. But now the platform is consistent, so it is a very little work to this kind of maintenance. The bigger time to handle issues and feedbacks from the users. If someone files an issue to he or she cannot open the box in some part of the game, I have to figure out what can be the problem with the game. So the maintenance for me mostly to improve the quality of the game.
Now, I know this game's available on Apple. Is it on Android? Is it on the smart speakers, or where else is it available, if anywhere?
Currently, it is only available on Apple's platform because I'm mostly familiar with this iOS platform. I plan to port it to Android, and I also made some investigation with Amazon Alexa. Maybe I will do this port in the next year, but I haven't gotten a timeline for it yet.
Yeah. Seems like a perfect smartphone or smart speaker game.
Yes, but for smart speaker platforms have a lot of limitations about have to play sounds during the speaking. How many voices can you use during the game? When can you process the incoming sound? So from this perspective, it's much easier to work with the Apple's platform than with Alexa's.
Gotcha. Excuse me. So has Voice of the Ancients, I mean, it's been now for what, about a month or a few weeks now. Are you seeing the traction and the downloads? You feel like you're getting the recognition that you expected from the game at this point?
I haven't got exact expectation. I set a milestone when I released the game. This milestone will be if 100 players can finish the game.
Okay.
I reached about 1/3 of them now. But I I hope I can reach this milestone.
Well, as you kind of progress, if you decide to do a new game, or you decide to add more content to Voice of the Ancients, I would love to have you back, to tell us, what you're up to, and what new things and new things that you're putting out. Because again, Voice of the Ancients, it's a fun game. It's a good adventure game. The puzzles are interesting. You got to kind of really think through them. I like how smooth the voice command is, as well as how you did that introduction of, download different voices and use those to kind of create that immersion. So, it's been a very fun game. I think a lot of people in the blind and visually impaired community can really get behind playing this game and enjoy it. So I'm excited to see the other things that you put out in the future, because hopefully it'll be just as accessible as this game that you put out. So please, as you put out more content, please reach out and let me know, and come back and let's talk about it.
Thank you so much.
Again, I really appreciate you taking the time, all the way from Budapest, quite a few hours ahead of me right now. But, thank you for taking that time and coordinating with me. And we look forward to the other things that you put forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aaron, and thank you for inviting me to your show.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Great experience. Thank you.